So students, when we are trying to prepare a budget, it's because we don't want to spend more money than we have. And that makes intuitive sense. If you have $40, you shouldn't spend $50 because then you'd have negative $10. Yes, the math works out. So we need to use a budget so that we understand and can forecast how much money we're going to spend so that we don't overspend. Because when you have negative money, that means you're in debt. And most types of debt are not really great to have. So let's take a look at this budget and learn about the different types of expenses we're going to run into so that we know how to create a budget. So down here, we have our mortgage, and this is typically a good type of debt. So if you want to buy a house, like an apartment, condo, home, you need to borrow the money to do that. And the bank will lend you the money if you pay it back. And so that's what these $841 expenses represent, is us paying the bank back to buy our house. And I said that that was typically a good expenditure, and the reason is because over time, typically property values go up. So if you buy a house and then you live in it for 10 years or 20 years, then the value of that house will have increased. So that's a pretty good debt to have. Now this waste, yes, people taking out the trash, recycling, and compost is not free. You have to pay your city in order for them to pay the people to come collect it from your doorstep or from your street corner. Phone bill, internet, pretty self-explanatory. So these are all known as fixed expenses. So I'm going to write these right here. These are all fixed. They don't change. So they have a high degree of predictability. We like fixed expenses because we always know what they're going to be. Our phone bill is going to remain the same. Our internet bill is going to remain the same. Our mortgage is going to remain the same. But then we run into our variable expenses. Now these do change and are a little less predictable. If you go to the grocery store, whether you go to the restaurants in a typical month, your electric usage, do you turn the lights off when you leave for the day? Do you turn your air conditioner up to 79 or 80 when you leave for the day? That can save you a lot of money on your electric bills. Water, do you make sure that you take 5-minute showers instead of 25-minute, singing musical showers? I mean, I'm not judging here, but if you sing musicals in the shower and it takes you 25 minutes to take a shower, I'm sure you're really building a nice voice. You have a great voice, but you probably should take shorter showers. It'll save you some money. And then clothing. How often are you going to buy new clothes? Mine is typically the November line. I think I've had this shirt for like over a decade. This is my number one, my favorite blue shirt, right? So this has been zero, but that's not always possible. Sometimes you have to go out and you have to buy shoes, those wear out over time. So yeah, I did go out and buy these shoes. So we can just, put these right here. I'm sure you'd love to look at these for the rest of the lesson. So there are my $67 shoe purchase. But there's another type of expense that we're going to have to talk about here. It's called a prorated expense. And prorated, I'm really glad you don't have 4-dimensional technology here. Oh man, that smell. My feet smell, so I had to put my shoe back on. I hope you don't mind. Back to prorated expenses. Prorated expenses are when you have to pay something one time per year. That's it. So let's imagine that you already paid your car insurance for the year. You already paid your car registration for the year. And you already paid your home insurance for the year. So in November and December, it's going to appear as if those are $0 expenses, that they just didn't cost you anything. But the issue is that these expenses can be really, really expensive. And you need to think about prorating them over the year so you can understand and predict how much that's going to impact your budget. Here's what I mean. Car insurance for me is $468. All right, so $468. And I pay that one time per year. I pay it in April. So I wouldn't see that expense here in November or December, but I know in April I'm going to get a massive punch to this budget. Right? $468, that's a lot of money. So I need to think about saving for that $468 over time. So what would be smarter is if I divided this by 12 so that I could understand the monthly impact of it. Even if I'm not paying that month, I can still think about including it in my budget by prorating it. So I'm going to do 12 divided by 468. That goes in 3 times. All right, and 12 goes into 108 9 times. All right, so 39. All right, so $39 a month is really what I should be thinking about, $39 a month. So instead of writing 0 here, I'm going to write 39 for my car insurance because I need to think about saving $39 a month in order to afford that massive annual expenditure. But that's not all, folks. You have to register your car with the state you live in order to get a registration sticker. And that helps keep everybody safe, right? So that you know that your car is meeting minimum safety and ecological guidelines. And that costs money. And for me in Texas, it's $78. So how much should I prorate for November and December? We'll divide by 12. What's the monthly expense? Well, that goes in 6 times, I believe. So now we have 72. And put our decimal here. 12 goes into 65 times. So $6.50 is really what I should be budgeting for my car registration. So instead of writing 0 down here in my budget, I'm going to remind myself that I need to be thinking about saving $6.50 every month to pay for my car registration. Finally, the big one. Home insurance. Yeah, it's really, really, really expensive. Home insurance, basically, you need this in case your home goes up in flames or a massive tree falls on it. You need home insurance to protect your investment because when the bank lent you all that money for your mortgage, they did so assuming that you're actually going to have a house at the end of the time that you're paying it. And if a big flood comes in and wipes everything away, or a fire comes in and ravages your place, or there's a big hailstorm and it damages windows, you need to be insured. But that's super expensive. So prorate it so that you can plan. Goes in 1 time, then there are 2 zeros. So this is $100 a month. So when you're preparing a budget sheet, the fixed expenses are your friends. Like, you can always predict what certain fixed expenses are going to be, whether it be your mortgage, the waste collection, your phone bill, internet bill. Your variable expenses are a little bit harder to predict, but if you do averaging over 3 or 4 months and you see, what did I spend on groceries April through June or April through August, and then you can divide out by the number of months of data you have, you can get a pretty accurate picture of your monthly expenditure. So variable expenditures, make sure to do averaging. Now prorated is when you pay something 1 time per year or 1 time per a longer time period, and you need to think about how much it's going to cost you month by month had you split it up month by month. I tell you what, if I didn't think about prorating my home insurance and it got to April when I owed $1,200, I'd be like, just like this. But luckily, I prorate my expenses, so I'm like this. I'm not exactly happy, because I'm still paying like $1,200, but at least I have the money because I prorated it in my budget sheets. Bye. Have a good day.